Coming up in the news, residents on Grand Bahama giving mixed reaction to the daily roadblocks. Also, Grand Bahama experiencing a cold snap.
Road works progressing smoothly in East Grand Bahama. Those details straight ahead.
The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shoshana Rolf-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, some residents on Grand Bahama say they are annoyed over the frequent roadblocks being conducted by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. A major concern, the hefty fines being issued to drivers for various infractions. Tonight, some are calling for leniency. Italia Hall has our top story. Some Grand Bahamans are calling it a vexing issue, roadblocks, by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. For months now, some residents have taken to social media to sound off sharing their frustration. They say now is simply not the time, as many are struggling financially. Well, our ZNS News team caught a roadblock in action on Thursday morning in the West Grand Bahama District, and these residents had mixed views on the situation.
I think it's a bunch of nonsense. They're doing foolishness. It's only harassment to people that don't make no type of sense at all.
We need them. We need them. It's good for Grand Bahama, for the young people.
Why do you think
too much dying in car accidents?
I understand the necessity for the roadblocks. It is something that we need in order to monitor our streets, monitor our roadways. It can be a hassle at times, but persons just need to follow the laws as they are stated and do what they need to do. Wear their seatbelts, wear their masks, have their ID, and things would go rather smoothly. So I'm okay with it.
But this resident, Jason Martin, says he feels the roadblocks are happening far too frequently.
I hate it, and the fact that the people are going through so much tough times in Freeport, and they continue after hurricane, after people losing their jobs, and they continue to pressure the people with no money. What are they trying to do to the people? No roadblocks as much as in Nassau. I just traveled to Nassau. But it's a lot in Freeport, and I can't take it. I didn't even want to go in 8 Mile Rock this morning to avoid paying a ticket. I was afraid they would have said, hey, the tire's too low on this car. The tin is too dark. Where's your light? And there's so much on the poor people in Freeport. Give us a break, please. I beg you.
All road users must have a government-issued ID while traversing the streets. If not, it's been shown that fines can go up to $500. While some residents say this fine is too high, others say it's necessary.
Well, it needs to be high, and then they'll do better.
And we can't deal with that. You see they saying people hustling on their own. You see they saying, and then we have to go give them our money what we hustling for? No, man, that make no sense.
Majority fines ain't justified. They could be more lenient and considerate. So I think they need to go to the table and revise some of these fines.
According to people now will never be the time, because let's be honest, Bahamians are people, they don't like rules. But when we travel to America, we adhere to their rules. So why can't we adhere to the rules of our country? You know what the government says you must do. Keep your license inside your vehicle, and that's exactly what you should do.
Now, police say these roadblocks are indeed necessary as they seek to maintain law and order on the streets. Officials say the roadblocks have helped to reduce traffic infractions, assisted in the search for wanted persons, bench warrants, and have also resulted in firearm and drug arrests. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News. Well, human rights activist Joe Darwell also weighing in on the roadblocks and the amount of fines being levied during this time.
You have an extraordinary circumstance in the country. You need to be lenient enough to make sure that if someone would ordinarily be charged $100 for a ticket, and if they cannot come up with that, then they're going to go to jail. It's going to cost the government more to send someone to jail because they are unable to pay the fine, and so they're going to have to be fed by the government. So one has to look at this, the law should be flexible in terms of the predicament that people are in. And you can't treat people as if they're criminals immediately. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. And even if they're stopped and, you forgot to bring a certain document with you, Then say by 3 o'clock this afternoon or tomorrow morning, you bring the document down to the police headquarters and you would be cleared.
Darwell believes that more compassion is needed, especially for an island that has been dealt so many blows.
But to right away levy these heavy fines at a time when people can't even find money to buy food to eat, it is desperation. Right at the present time, whether it's going to be, you're talking about Grand Bahama, you're talking about the Bahamas generally. Prior to Dorian and COVID-19, we had 39% of our population living at or below poverty level. Now it's up to 65 to 70% of our population. And that has come about because the inequity in the way that the distribution of the wealth has taken place in the country. So an ordinary person who only makes $100, $180, $200 a week, and you get a catastrophic event like a hurricane and a COVID-19, they have nothing to fall back on. They haven't been able to save up anything. They cannot go to the bank and say, oh, I got a ticket now, I got this savings, I got $1,000, I'm going to get the money and pay the ticket tomorrow so I don't have to go to court. That is not the case. We have to be more humane with our people.
Well, residents and visitors to East Grand Bahama can look forward to smoother commutes in the coming weeks. Since late last year, WA Construction has been carrying out road works in the various communities in East Grand Bahama, and tonight, the company's vice president gives our Megan Shepard an update.
The passing of Hurricane Dorian, as well as general wear and tear, creating a number of road issues in East Grand Bahama. The government of the Bahamas signing a contract with WA Construction in 2020 to carry out a number of road improvements in various eastern communities. Vice President of WA Construction, Brian Wall, gives an update on works to date.
It involved first patching the road from Gold Rock Creek right up into McLeanstown, which we've completed. They also gave us several areas between Pelican Point and Equinor that they wanted us to reconstruct, as well as this stretch behind me. It's about 2 miles of widening the actual road itself, because this was a very narrow section of the road. And that we're starting to get the rock down right now.
He adds that crews also cleared the verges in Pelican Point. Now, while these road improvements will create a smoother and safer drive for motorists, WA is reminding drivers to adhere to all rules of the road, particularly when it comes to speed.
It'll be a lot easier on your vehicle. No more potholes, a little safer in sections like this area behind me, as long as we don't get crazy with speed with the widened road. But basically, it's going to be a more pleasant ride without having to duck and dodge holes in the road.
Now, WA adds that there are several crews working for several miles in the East End community. He is asking that the motoring public drive with due care and caution for the safety of his employees.
Safety is our greatest concern. As you can see, we have a lot of signage up, cones. All the crew are wearing PPEs, the high visibility vests, and we just ask that the motoring public give us a break, slow down, and just drive through the area with caution, and we'll be out of here as soon as we can.
WA notes that these road works in East Grand Bahama are expected to continue for another 3 weeks, weather permitting. He says from there, works begin in the Freeport area and West Grand Bahama.
As I mentioned, a couple of spots further down by Equinor, and then we'll be going down into the 8 Mile Rock area with some reconstruction, as well as areas in West End. And we're going to be starting up in Hudson Estates within 5 to 10 days, and so there'll be a noticeable difference in some areas.
Megan Shepard, 7S Network News.
Well, Grand Bahama and the Northern Bahamas experiencing a cold snap over the past several days, and some residents of Grand Bahama are happy for the cool change, while temperatures dipping into the 40s last night. And as Jay Philippe tells us, that may have been a record for this island.
Over the past few nights, the extreme northwest Bahamas, which includes Grand Bahama, has been experiencing an extreme cold front. Forecaster Kirk James from the Bahamas Department of Meteorology says that high pressure over Florida and the northwest Bahamas will maintain improved conditions into Friday. Earlier this week, a cold front brought high temperatures of 68 with a low of 54 degrees. On Tuesday was a high of 60, while Wednesday night was the lowest at 44 degrees, one of the coldest nights in the history of Grand Bahama.
In terms of statistics, climatology, that was not a record, in that the record for February was 42 degrees, just shy of 2 degrees in 1996. And January's record was 39. Most Grand Bahamians would remember that. They say they had some snow in 1977. I wasn't around, but the records would show.
James says the cold front was driven by the jet stream.
When you have a strong jet plunging down far south, from the north to the south, you're bringing some Canadian air down, Arctic air. They call it an Arctic blast, and so that's what we've been having pretty much sequentially. So there are two sources of the front. You have the Pacific fronts from the west coast of the U.S., and then you have the Arctic front from the north up there in Canada. And so that's what we've been having with the low temperatures bringing us near record.
Residents on Grand Bahama say this week, in particular Wednesday night, was unlike any other night that they can recall.
I like the weather, I appreciate the weather, and I love the weather, man. See how I'm dressed? Built for it. I love the cold weather, you know. I mean, it's much better than the heat. And when it's cold, the thing is, you know, you can get warm, you know. So this weather has been welcome. I welcome the weather.
It's cold. I don't like sweating, and I like the chill in the air. Everybody doesn't like it, but I do.
I really like the cold weather, but I can't take this.
It's pretty chilly, but it's manageable. I prefer a bit warmer temperatures right now, but it's pretty comfortable to sleeping right now.
The weather didn't bother me none, because when I go to bed, I'm wrapped up, and then my wife, and everything like that, she keeps me warm, so I don't feel it till in the morning when I get up.
James says moving forward, the Northern Bahamas can look forward to a warming trend.
From Friday onwards, the weekend in particular, we're looking for temperatures to go back in the 80s by the weekend. Tomorrow you'll be mid to upper 70s, and of course you have a better chance of some rain on the weekend, particularly Saturday.
I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Network News.
Great story, Jay. I'm looking forward to the warmer temperatures. Well, switching gears now, the new U.S. Charge d'Affaires Uche E. Pitts meeting with Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert A. Minnis at the Cabinet Office today. According to a release issued by the U.S. Embassy, Charge d'Affaires Pitts and Prime Minister Minnis discussed the many important areas of cooperation between the United States and the Bahamas, including cooperation on disaster preparedness and COVID-19 response, collaboration of issues of regional importance, and partnership towards combating climate change under the new administration of President Biden. Charge d'Affaires Pitts also meeting with Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Darren Henfield, earlier in the week. The partnership between the United States and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is one founded not only on shared interests, but on the shared values of democracy, respect for the rule of law, and the protection of human rights. Charge d'Affaires Pitts began her tour at the U.S. Embassy in the Bahamas on New Year's Day. She previously served at diplomatic posts in Russia, Cuba, Italy, Austria, Panama, and Brazil. She has also served in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Stay with us. We will be back in just a moment.